Siva Sutras Part 1, Sambhavopaya, 9th Sutra, Swapno Vikalpaḥ. Dreaming is free-ranging of thoughts. Dream is fancy or imagination. Prasad Bharadwaj. Swapna means dream, and Vikalpa refers to internal perception or imagination. In the dream state, we move away from the external sensory experiences and engage with the mind's internal imagery and thoughts. This is a state where the mind is active, but the senses are not. Dreams are essentially the mind's interpretations and recreations of impressions that have been gathered during the wakeful state. These impressions, now being processed internally, can manifest in various forms as dreams, which are purely mental constructs. The Shiva Sutras, especially the first part known as Sambhavopaya, represents the path of supreme will or consciousness. Sutra 9, Swapno Vikalpaha, delves deeply into the nature of dreams, thoughts, and imagination within the realm of spiritual consciousness. 1. Swapna. This refers to the dream state, one of the three classical states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, deep sleep. 2. Vikalpa. This term refers to imagination, free-ranging thoughts, or mental projections that arise within the mind. In this context, it specifically refers to the mind's creation of images and narratives without external sensory input. According to this sutra, dreaming, swapna, is the mind's natural process of engaging in free-ranging thoughts and imagination, vikalpa. When a person is asleep, their external senses, sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell, are not engaged. However, the mind continues to be active, processing impressions and thoughts gathered during the waking state. These impressions are then transformed into dreams, which are purely mental constructs that arise independently of the material world. This is in contrast to the waking state where the mind is heavily influenced by sensory input. In dreams, the mind becomes a free space for internal perception, creating imagery and scenarios without the grounding influence of the external world. Knowing the relationship between Sutra 8 and Sutra 9 is very important. The 8th Sutra explains the waking state, Jagrat, where the mind is bombarded with sensory input and actively responds to external stimuli. During this stage, there is a close interaction between the mind and the senses. The mind processes this input with incredible speed, making it possible for us to navigate through the world of form and matter. Every sensory perception, what we see, hear, see, taste, or smell, leaves a lasting impression or samskara, mental imprint, on the mind. As explained in the 9th Sutra, these sensory impressions do not fade away but are stored in the subconscious mind. When the individual enters the dream state, these impressions, no longer constrained by the external world, manifest as dreams. These dreams are the mind's internal recreations of experiences from the waking state but now take on imaginative or fantastical forms. The mind, in this state, engages in vikalpa. It is free to roam without the boundaries of physical reality. Dream state for yogis is different from the ordinary human's dream state. For an ordinary person, the dream state is a reflection of unresolved emotions, unfulfilled desires, or leftover mental impressions. Dreams can be chaotic, filled with fragmented images and emotions because the mind is processing vast amounts of information gathered during the waking state. However, for a yogi, the experience of the dream state is fundamentally different. The yogi is someone who has attained a higher level of consciousness and is perpetually connected to Shiva, the ultimate reality, even in the waking state. The term yogin means one who is yoked or connected, implying that the yogi remains constantly united with the divine, even in their waking or jagrat state. In the waking state, a yogi's mind is focused and aligned with Shiva. Their interaction with the sensory world is minimal and only serves to maintain the basic functioning of the gross body. They remain detached from worldly desires and distractions because their consciousness is always centered on the supreme reality. In the dream state, a yogi's mind is free of the vikalpas that trouble ordinary people. Because they have transcended the impressions left by the external world, their dreams do not contain the chaotic imagery typical of ordinary minds. Instead, the yogi remains united with Shiva, and their dreams are either non-existent or filled with the divine presence of Shiva. Their internal perceptions do not undergo any significant changes during sleep, reflecting their deep connection to the macrocosm, the universal consciousness, through the microcosm, their individual self. In contrast to ordinary people, who dream based on unresolved thoughts and sensory impressions, the yogi's dream state is characterized by purity and union with Shiva. There are no distractions, fantasies, or random images. Instead, the yogi experiences stillness, clarity, and divine consciousness in both waking and dream states. The teaching of Sutra 9, Swapno Vikalpaha, is that the mind's tendency to dream reflects its capacity to create internal perceptions and mental constructs independent of the external world. For ordinary people, this reveals the illusory nature of both the waking and dream states, where the mind constantly shifts between different experiences. The sutra encourages individuals to transcend these mental projections by becoming aware of the underlying consciousness that exists beyond dreams and waking thoughts. For a yogi, this sutra illustrates the power of spiritual practice to transcend the ordinary functioning of the mind. Through the practice of meditation and higher awareness, the yogi is able to merge with Shiva consciousness and no longer be swayed by the fleeting impressions of the sensory world. Their dreams no longer carry random thoughts, desires, or emotions, they are filled with the eternal presence of the divine. Swapno Vikalpaha in the Shiva Sutras points to the mind's ability to create dreams, showing how internal perceptions dominate the dream state. However, through spiritual practice, the yogi transcends the ordinary dream state and remains in a state of perpetual connection with Shiva, even while dreaming. This sutra serves as a reminder that both the waking and dreaming worlds are ultimately mental constructs, and it is through realizing this that one can move closer to the supreme consciousness. From a spiritual perspective, the sutra invites practitioners to understand the role of the mind and its tendency to create illusions or mental constructions, vikalpas. In the dream state, the mind shows how it can wander freely without the external world, providing a glimpse into the nature of thoughts and how the mind operates independently of the material world. In higher states of consciousness, realized beings can transcend even these mental constructs, perceiving the pure awareness behind both waking and dream states. The sutra, therefore, serves as a teaching on recognizing that even dreams, as vivid and real as they may seem, are illusory, they are products of the mind's vikalpa and have no substantial existence outside of consciousness. In Shaiva philosophy, this understanding encourages the seeker to move beyond both the waking and dreaming states, to recognize the illusory nature of mental projections, and to awaken to the true nature of consciousness that transcends both waking reality and dreams. Dear Divine Souls, let us continue our spiritual journey through these Shiva Sutras with the video of the next sutra. Until then, try to gain a deep understanding of the concepts explained in the 9th Sutra, Swapno Vikalpaha of Sambhavopaya. Jai Gurudev. Blessings of peace and love to all divine souls watching. Thanks for watching and understanding. Like, subscribe and share with your loved ones. Don't forget to hit the bell icon for future post alerts. Stay tuned to Chaitanya Vijnanam Spiritual Wisdom YouTube channel for future videos. Prasad Bharadwaj.